more minutes for some others to join us, and then we will make a start. Just wait 1 more minute and then we'll make a start. Right, well, hello everybody. My name is Joanne Owens and I am the Membership and Engagement Manager from HPMA. Welcome to this afternoon session. This session is around understanding your mindset with Rebecca Howard from Shiny Mind. It's great to see you all here. If you could please keep yourselves on mute, and if you do have any questions, if you could pop them in the chat function, and then Rebecca will get to those at the end of the session. Over to you, Rebecca. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jo. Lovely to meet you all. Just by way of kind of telling you what we're going to do today and who I am. So I'm Beck Howard. I'm a clinical psychotherapist. I do leadership development and I'm an exec coach and I'm the CEO and founder of Shiny Mind. And today we're going to kind of explore and share what Shiny Mind is as a resource, its story of where it came from, its impact, how it can possibly help you, and in terms of its application both in primary care and secondary care. And then possibly the most important thing is that we're going to focus on you and give you time to actually consider your own mindset, your thoughts, and how we might empower or you empower yourself this afternoon. So by the time that we are at 2:30, you will perhaps have a deeper sense of understanding of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviours. So if that hasn't frightened anybody off, we can actually dig deep and start to talk about what actually Shiny Mind is about. So as a psychotherapist, I know that psychotherapy can change lives. It transforms people's outcomes, what's possible for them at home and at work, and things improve really, really quickly. Problem with psychotherapy, though, however, is that it lives in a cupboard called stigma, and people only go and actually access it when perhaps they're starting to fall down. And that is a real shame. And the reality is, as humans, we spend more time learning to drive than we do learning to think. So our approach was, how could we take psychotherapy out of the cupboard of stigma and bring it into the wider world and actually use it in a preventative, proactive way so people felt empowered, built their self-efficacy, their confidence, and so they could ride this roller coaster of life in a more helpful way. And interestingly, the story to Shiny Mind started with somebody that you probably know quite dearly, as I do, Nikki Ingham. Because all those years ago, when we first started our journey, we brought psychotherapy to the world of leadership and development and exec coaching, and actually help people understand the most important relationship they have ever in their lifetime, which is with their own mind and body, because that's how you interact with the world. But unfortunately, some of us don't do that relationship so well. So we were asked to bring this approach to actually the world of well-being, to help NHS staff understand themselves more so they could cope with the pressures and strain, and not only cope in a remedial way, as in to help them actually build their self-efficacy, but also move to that place of being happy, positive, proactive, and actually enjoying their job more. So that was the journey we wanted to go on. We developed a 3-hour programme to help people do that in the NHS. We started in Blackpool and Nikki invited us. We started with 50. We've now worked with over 3,000. Now, if you're going to change practice of actually helping people understand themselves at a deeper level so things improve, then you're going to have to follow the evidence. And that's what we did. From day one, the first person that turned up when Nikki invited us to Blackpool to the 3,000th person who turned up on the programme. And what we found is that 97% of people felt more able to cope with the world of work they found themselves in, and 96% of them felt less stressed. So at this point, we knew that we had something that if we could sprinkle it across the NHS, it would help an awful lot of people. And so the only way to do that, and thank goodness there's no cloning machines out there because you wouldn't want to clone me, is you would want to create a digital resource and use digital resources to transform the way that we can interact and support people. So we decided to co-create an app called Shiny Mind with the NHS. And we started in the Northwest with the Walton Centre, a specialist neurological trust, and we worked with them to actually help them and help us understand what was going on. As in, what happened when they were feeling not so well? What did they do? And what they told us was they generally knew when they were the thoughts started to race, their feelings were out of control. They knew things weren't going so well. But what they decided to do at that point was actually quite interesting, because they didn't kind of walk a path to the People Directorate or occupational health. They actually stopped doing that because of the stigma, and that was a real shame. So they basically told us they all, and millions of people out there every day, try and self-sort. And so they will go and find perhaps digital resources on the App Store. And effectively what they were a prey to was that marketing was perhaps the only thing that was there about the evidence of anything working. And actually less than 10% of any digital resource has anything other than a personal recommendation or review against it. So the job of work that they asked us to create was, can you create an empowerment resource for us so that we can do the learning and the development and understand ourselves more, which harks back to how we've been using for well over a decade psychotherapeutic approaches to help people understand themselves better at work and at home. And that's effectively what we created. So if I share my screen with you, I could just walk you through what you'll find. Hopefully you can all see my screen. And if somebody can give me a thumbs up that you can, that would be super. Thank you, Sarah and Alan. So people wanted the power to shine. That's effectively what people wanted. Quite simple, but they wanted an empowerment, learning and development resource to build up their own self-efficacy, to learn and build lifetime skills to improve their resilience, their ability to cope, understanding of self, and they wanted to grow together. So we created a resource that you cannot complete because it's a guide to life. It's not a start and a finish, because that's not where we're at in life. We're all growing and learning. There's 150 plus interactive exercises here. Everything is backed by science and evidence. So you will find lots of different masterclasses, from getting to know me, my mindset, some of this we're going to do today together, stress, confident, happy, and relationships. So we just take relationships to show you why you can't complete Shiny Mind, and you wouldn't want to, because you'd want support across all areas of your life. If I'm struggling today at home with a partner, I can do 20 minutes on Shiny Mind and understand the drama triangle, which is all about relationship dynamics, how you form great ones and how you form not so great ones. And in doing that, I have different choices about how to manage this dynamic. But in 6 months' time, if I'm struggling with a colleague, I can repeat this exercise and it will give me different choice and different advice. So what this does, within 30 minutes of, say, Alan having it and Sarah having it, it looks very different for you, because you're curating your own resource around your own self, and it becomes a confidential space for you to do that learning. It is powered by curiosity only, which is a human trait we all have, but that empowers you to learn something and go on the next learning journey. And therefore it uses humane tech. It is not actually created in terms of AI. It's not going to pester you, drive you insane. You use it when you need it. And that is a holistic way of supporting people. When we did the co-creation with the NHS, they said that basically they wanted help when there was perhaps nowhere else to go. So they wanted help in 5 minutes. So we created a helping hand section, which can be personalised to each trust that works with us, or organisation that sort of signposts out to other things you may have. But it has in here things like the mood bath. Now, just sight and sounds of nature will help you feel better. And I can see, sorry to pick on you, Sarah, but I can see your background. And hey, that would make me feel calm and relaxed. However, in busy times, we can't find ourselves there, but just the sight and sound of nature in a mood bath, choose your background, whether it's babbling brook or seaways, within 40 seconds will help get you back to a calming state. Equally, this builds as your own resource because as you input you in it, you get a choice to, do you want to keep this or do you want to wash it away? And that's because humans think of thoughts as real things. So, and we act upon them as real things. And this is what the evidence shares with, tells us. So if you keep it, it's like treasure, you'll go back to it and build, wash it away, and cognitively you will rewire. But uniquely, it has a community at its heart. And again, this was an ask from NHS staff. We want to feel connected and supported to each other. So it has messaging that helps teams talk to each other, thank at the end of busy shifts, difficult days. And this makes a bad day better and a better day great. And it also allows leaders to use their voice, their support through the gold button messaging, which enables them to actually share that support from a leadership level on like building that connectivity and community of practice across the whole of an organization. Now, evidence is absolutely key, and I would imagine everybody in the room thinks the same. Does it work? And so the answer was we wanted to actually make sure that you could trust this. And that's why we put it through an independent longitudinal study, which showed that in terms of employee turnover, it was 3 for Shiny Minders versus 18% for the control group. And staff absence was 3 for Shiny Minders versus 6% for all staff. The Academic Health Science Networks, which I'm sure you're aware of, then looked at it to kind of go, okay, let's look at the body of evidence. And now it is showcased as a proven innovation. This level of data and research and impact enabled us to do a bigger piece of work with NHS E&I's Chief Nurse Officer team. And we have had for the last 2 years a key member of their team come out and work with us, the primary care nursing lead Karen Story, to actually co-create a nursing version, which we have gifted to healthcare support workers and nurses and midwives, which we did last November. So if you haven't got this in your organisation and you want to support and get this into the hand of that workforce, then please contact us and we'll give you details at the end. We're also endorsed by Florence Nightingale Foundation and FONS. But in terms of pulling the resource together, there's some really interesting things in the nursing version. Self-care, restorative and reflective supervision, assertiveness, and 2 life packs, which are condition-specific life packs, helping people specifically with anxiety and also mental wellness for depression. We're also, for those of you who are interested in the attrition rates of what we're seeing in our student population, we're currently working on a student healthcare version, which again, if anybody in the room would like to collaborate, then please step forward and let us know. The other thing that we have done, as well as this work nationally, is that we've been working with NHS E&I's menopause team. So the team that are currently putting together the menopause optimum pathway have been working with us to collaborate, co-host and create resources to actually talk to the workforce menopause need, which I know many of you will be cited on. This is coming to you in the next few weeks or the next month. We don't know the launch day yet, but that is coming out on the workforce version because Shiny Mind is a NHS workforce solution, not just for nurses, but the whole workforce. But this perhaps comes back to what's really important. There's no point having a resource and actually getting it out to people unless you know it's working. When we created our nursing version and launched it, we actually created a clinically validated system where we would record before data of use, where people are at that point in their journey whilst working in the NHS, to their post data, which is 6 to 8 weeks later. This is clinically validated data. It's the kind of data your GP would record in terms of your anxiety and depression scores. And this is what we can report, which we are personally quite excited about, because at scale, this starts to address what we started this journey for, to actually help people feel better, improve their quality of life across all areas of life, but also help the NHS. So you can see that here we've got a majority of people feeling better, 24% feeling a lot better. But you would, if you were rocked up at your GP with anxiety, they would record your anxiety scored general anxiety disorder scores. And we've improved them by 17%, which is statistically significant. There are less days worrying. We're moving people within 6 to 8 weeks from a negative place where people are showing up. The majority of nursing workforce had moderate to mild anxiety, and they were being recorded on the mental health and depression register, to a place of improved productivity, which we can put a cost saving against. And I think looking at the retention rates, we have got 20% of people who were about to leave the NHS or considering leaving are now not. So in terms of what we know that digital can work, and it can work across many, many people. But the task is, how do you embed this digitally people-powered transformation? And it's a big challenge. And I'm not going to shy away from that challenge. Implementing digital transformation across organizations is sometimes difficult. But for us, what we see is the key to actually doing that well is co-creating further solutions and embedding it within an organization. So it touches all parts of the moving parts of an organization and is co-created against real need. And when we do that, we can tackle some real system challenges. So I am just going to briefly talk you through some secondary care applications of this work, which I'm sure will just spark lots of ideas, and we'd love to hear from you. And also how it's actually been used in secondary care. Because what we don't want to see is a digital resource that we've created, which is helping so many, sit on a cupboard or just people being told, just go get it from the App Store. That's not digital embedding or digital transformation. It can do so much more. So I'm just going to walk you through first the primary care work we're doing. This is called the SHINE programme. It's backed, for anybody in primary care, you will have probably heard of the Fuller Stocktake report, which was basically looking at what's going on in primary care. It recognised that staff are absolutely stretched beyond capacity and morale is low. And actually what we're starting to hear, and I've heard again today, is staff are feeling that there's no hope. Now, when hope goes, things fall really fast for people. But we need digital transformation because we don't have enough workforce to deliver to the capacity, and we need to provide personalised care. How are you going to do that with a stretched workforce when they're on the floor? We've been working with an ICB, Bedford, Luton and Milton Keynes, and Arden and Gem, CSU, to actually co-create a solution with primary care clinicians. Because my belief is the answer is always in the room if you create enough space and you listen and you hear and then you co-create. We asked them what do they need to deal with this low morale, the need to do new and innovative things when it's the last thing anybody had the headspace to do. And what they told us with these 5 things. They knew that they had to improve and wanted help for themselves, but they knew their patients needed it too. So they wanted a simultaneous solution. They knew that actually they wanted to actually prescribe and give support, mental health support to the conditions of the patients that were rocking up. They also knew that the biggest thing about demand in the system is to improve it, we need to actually tackle patient activation. So you are more responsible for your own health. Therefore, you will feel better, your health outcomes will improve, you'll use less services. The most effective way of doing that is to go through your mind. There is no health without mental health. And there is no mechanism to actually prescribe a suggestion or a solution like Shiny Mind as a resource for a patient. And let's just to remind us, we started this work because clinicians asked us, because they've been doing clinician-led trials based on the fact that primary care clinicians felt benefit of Shiny Mind as a workforce solution. So we were asked to kind of move into this space. So there's no mechanism to prescribe, it's just go use. And then we missed the leveraging of the clinician-patient relationship and how we can believe and install belief that change is possible for that patient. We also know that one-to-one care, we need another way of managing our patients. We need one-to-many so that clinicians and patient-facing staff can actually treat and support more people. That was their ask. Our solution was we co-created a prescribing portal, enabling them to prescribe Shining Mind as a wellbeing prescription across patient populations at a population health level. How does it start? Well, we look after the healthcare and the support that primary care clinicians need. So we created a wellbeing psychological program based on all the stuff that is in Shining Mind, which is the basis of many, many decades of leadership development, which actually supports psychological understanding of self. They go through a 4-week program. That helps them feel better, but also it importantly creates clinician-led advocacy, which means they are more likely and able to actually signpost to patients who can then consider a different treatment option other than pills or therapy. And you can see the level of buy-in here from GPs, because this is Dr. Shankari Maha, which are talking about their own mental health to encourage others, a new era of authentic relationship with patients from clinicians about their own experience. And this means that through the prescribing portal, they are able to prescribe condition-specific life packs to anxiety and depression. And I mentioned menopause is coming out soon. And they can do that individually within seconds using the portal, and it'll appear on somebody's phone as a prescription. They start their before and after data because we've got a continual research program working behind this. And we can also do this at scale. So I can preventatively, proactively, as a GP, treat a pre-diabetic population or a perimenopause population or an obese population. So it's not one-to-one, it's one-to-many. And we leverage the relationship of the individual through nudges. If I believe that you can change, which is the core element of therapy, you are more likely to. You are more likely to take control of your own health. And that is what we see. We see clinicians in primary care send out individual nudges, and patients start to actually improve their clinical outcomes. But again, not just one-to-one, they can do this at one-to-many, and it actually improves and reduces demand. So just an example, 4 messages to diabetic patients reduces their blood sugar levels by 9 points, a reduction of 5 GP appointments. And what we see in a system, if any of you are sitting in a system, is this is creating hope, a different way of caring for patients. And the primary care family who are on the floor, having gone through such a bad time, as many of the healthcare system is, are now starting to create new solutions. It's become a team effort, everybody working together to actually prescribe differently, looking at, and we're working with IAPT as well, who've actually looked at Shining Mind, and are now we're supporting the optimization of the waiting list as well to improve and then reduce demand. So we're prescribing at a population health level, working with community pharmacy. We're creating a system solution, creating less demand and pressure in the system, a well-being halo, as people in doing this brilliant job of caring feel better themselves. But again, we come back to the evidence. We want to see that staff feel better. So this is primary care staff. And in our evidence, we see 73% of them feel more productive, and 64% of them want to work, want to stay in primary care. Plus, their job satisfaction is increasing. We know that we can actually see patients start to feel better in terms of their impact, but we want to see demand fall. 12 months after, we are actually starting to see that 2.5 to 3.5 appointments are saved per patient per annum, against a control cohort where we're seeing a 56% increase in activity. I've talked to you about how clinicians are now creating videos with their own voice, their own authentic voice, their own experience, to encourage patients to actually uptake a wellbeing prescription. And this work has been acknowledged as Innovation of the Year in terms of the Integrated Health Awards. And we were just recently, we were finalists in the HSJ Digitals Awards too. And this is kind of the opinion we're getting from medical directors across the piece in terms of ICBs. But what about secondary care? Because some of you will not be in primary care and you'll be thinking, well, how on earth can I kind of start to embed this so it doesn't sit on a shelf, it's not on an app store, and I start to integrate it as business as usual? Well, you will probably all have heard of the professional nurse advocacy and the professional midwifery community. And we've been working with them to actually support how they interact and support the others they're looking after. And so we've seen how they are starting to use Shining Mind to socially prescribe, because most nursing workforce are able to get access to Shining Mind as a gift. And so, as you can see here, this is a post-session action plan, and the community are able to signpost reflective and restorative supervision resources to ensure that that ripple effect that we're looking for is starting to happen across secondary care. So people aren't just supported in a workshop, they have something that is 24/7 in their pocket. Because let's face it, we all are just a single person and we'll bring work home and home to work. And so this is a way to support people well. We're also seeing how we can embed it across some of the issues that we're facing in terms of retention, in terms of how we can actually help people from ethnic minority backgrounds and international nurses step forward to be all that they can be as they bring themselves and their talent to the NHS. And so we've embedded Shining Mind as a resource in pre and post empowerment work around leadership programs such as the Louise Dicker Codia program. And this is the kind of impact we are seeing. And this is sticky impact, as we're seeing that people's understanding of self has massively improved and their ability to step forward in their career is 82% a lot. When we work at depth at self, things change. And we've also seen this in a recent program that we're doing where, again, we've embedded the same approach for healthcare support workers and their community, their ability to voice, to feel valued, and ultimately to stay in their role and to step forward and expand their experience. Working with them again across psychological development and 4 programs plus support from Shining Mind as a resource, a digital resource, is seeing great change. And this just gives you some insight into what people are saying. Everybody that is supported through Shining Mind on the nursing version gets access to Shining Mind Live, which is a lunchtime psychological development series, which encourages people interactively to build up on their resources and their self-efficacy. And that's built into the leadership and development resource programs that we've just talked about, which are supported 24/7 by Shining Mind, the app, but also Shining Mind Live brings it to life. It brings a community. And so people grow throughout the year. So that's a whistle stop tour. I totally know that. So there's a lot of information there to think, well, how might you use it? Or how might it help you? But today is also about you. You have the job of looking after people. And that's a big, important job that is so essential. And so I'm so pleased to see so many of you here, because this next bit is about you. It's about helping you understand yourself and bringing to life, just like Shining Mind Live, some of the resources that you could find on Shining Mind, the app. So we're going to look at yourself. We're going to look at understanding yourself, and hopefully within half an hour, you will have learned something that actually will perhaps empower the next few days, weeks, months, and potentially years of your life. So, is everybody ready? Yeah? I want to talk to you. Thank you, Ellen. I saw that nod. That was really good. Anyway, I want to talk to you about you, really just you. So this bit is yours. I want you to just sit and relax in your seats, because you've all had busy days and you probably have a busy day in the future, but just half an hour for you. Breathe. On the screen, you will see a head. Now, I can't draw, so just bear with me. This is a representation of you. Okay? So this is you. And this is your mindset. Now, I like simple, so this will take about 15 minutes maybe to explain, because life is too complex for complex stuff. We need something that's grabbable. So this model includes lots of cognitive, behavioral, psychological models. So we've got CBT in here, we've got Jungian analysis, we've got Gestalt, and many, many more. So all rolled into one so you can help you understand yourself. So here you are going through life, and your life is in this little arrow called external event. The world is out there or sometimes people say the adventure is out there. So it's out there. How do you experience it? Well, there's a lot to notice. So much research has been done, which shows us there are maybe millions of things you could pay attention to. Sight, sound, audio, everything. What do you pay attention to? Well, as humans, you don't pay attention to an awful lot, and your range of paying attention is quite small. So it's between 7 plus 2 and 7 minus 2. So we've got between 9 and 5. So what's the difference? On a good day, when maybe we've got leave, we're about to go on holiday, we're in a good mood, you'll notice up to 9 bits of information at any one time. But when we're miserable and it's raining, and then maybe it's the beginning of a hard week, you'll notice maybe 5. Your emotional state is going to govern how much of the world you pay attention to. But then the big question is, well, Beck, hey, how do I end up going from millions to 5? How on earth does that work? Well, that works based on this thing in the center of this individual, which is you, which is the filter system. Okay, now everybody in the room has a filter system. Everyone's as unique to them because it's based on your experience. And your filter system fills from the minute you're born, and it holds every experience, every conversation, every feeling, every decision, your attitudes, your beliefs, and it builds up over time. And it then creates your value system. And that's your filter system. Now, the first thing that kicks off your filter system is when somebody turns up when you're born with a suitcase. And I'm afraid it's not the fairy godmother. It is your inheritance track is in this suitcase. It's given to you by those who brought you into this space and are looking after you. And it's based on what has gone before you. Generation to generation, this suitcase gets handed down. And in it, you will have things like norms, cultural norms, what's expected of you in terms of your culture, your religion, your politics. What's your family narrative and script? Are you proud people? Are you helpful people? Are you connected to the community people? Because it will be in there. You don't ask for it. It unconsciously just gets posted in. And from then, your experience starts to build around it and builds up this concept of a filter system by which you filter what's important to you from the outside world. And the filter system, and again, an interesting concept for a Wednesday afternoon, has a flavour. Everybody in this room has a psychological flavour. And the psychological flavours will be things like, let's give some easy ones to talk to. I have to be strong. It has to be perfect. It's down to me. Or one of the most common ones, I'm not good enough, which is a commentary on value, okay, to self. And we will perhaps all express that in a different way. But over time, and everybody in this room will have a filter flavour, and that filter flavour will direct what you pay attention to outside of your world. So you will look outside of the world and you need a match, just to keep it really simple. You will delete information outside of you that does not match your internal filter flavour. You will distort things, and we're also good at that. So your outside world matches your inside world. And then we'll generalize, the assumptions. X many people do this, Y many people do that. We'll generalize to again get an inside outside fit. Once you've done that, and you've done that deleting, distorting, and generalizing against your current filter flavor, you will end up with this little arrow coming out the back to an internal representation. Now, basically, all that's doing is saying that you represent the outside world internally to yourself, and you say, that's what's going on. At this point, that's your reality. But it's not, is it? Because you filtered it. You've picked it up, picked out the outside world based on what's inside of you. So it's your reality. And this is where, for me, as a psychotherapist, this becomes really interesting. Because as Alfred Korzybski, a famous psychologist and psychotherapist, said, basically, we're all spin doctors. We're spinning reality every day, every moment, every day, creating our own reality. And that is exactly what we all do. So what is your internal representation is not the real, true reality of what's going on. It is your own reality, created just for you, by you. And that's where your inner voice lives as well, because that's where your internal narrative starts. And as soon as your internal narrative starts, can you see the arrows come down? We can see the word state. That's when you feel. That's where your emotions come from. Your thoughts, your internal thoughts deliver feelings. And from your feelings place, you will behave. You will see your leadership, your communication, your behavior and results as a result of that thinking and feeling. And also anybody from a world of a clinician will understand, depending on how you feel, if I feel anxious, you will see that pitch up in my physiology. My heart rate will be up. I might sweat. I might have palpitations. Your physiology will listen. So all of this is happening for you, driven by what's inside your filter flavor. So let's play it out and see what happens to putting a filter flavor, a particular one, in the middle of this person. Let's take the most common one, which is that most people have, which is some sense of value judgment against self, where you come out not on the right side of value. So I'm not good enough. If I had that playing, how is that going to make me feel? Anybody in the chat box, or just unmute and shout at me. How is it going to make you feel?
Low.
Low. Thank you, Sarah. Not that we'd feel low on your background, but anyway, low. So I'm going to feel low. So what am I going to do about it? Well, I don't want to feel low because I'm thinking I'm not good enough. My feeling is low. What happens to my behavior? Well, I might decide that actually, if I'm feeling low, I want to feel better. So I can start all sorts of activity which could be compensatory to make me feel better. I could eat loads of pizza. I could have lots of chocolate. I could drink lots of wine. That's going to help. Maybe not in the long term, but I can do that. If I'm feeling low, I also might want people to like me because then I might feel less low. So I might do an awful lot of people pleasing. What's that going to do to my boundaries? Not an awful lot. People will trample all over them. I'll take on too much work and I'll become exhausted. If I'm feeling low, I'm going to feel less confident. I'm less likely to voice in meetings, take on new stuff and innovate. Okay, that's going to be some of the outcomes we might see. But what if we changed it? So if I'm feeling not good enough, let's move to I am enough. You don't need a qualifier for anybody who's thinking you do. You don't. I am enough. Okay. So I'm going to feel better, aren't I, Sarah? So more positive. So I'm thinking I'm enough. My state is more positive. What does that happen to my behaviors? Well, I maybe don't need to eat tons of pizza every night and chocolate and alcohol. That's the first. That's a good start. Okay. But I equally don't need to make people like me so much, so I can actually move to doing respectful no's, being more boundaried, less of a people pleaser. And that means that actually I have more energy and time, which means I've got more headspace to innovate, step forward, move forward with my career. Yeah? What's changed? Has the outside world changed? No. The change has come from within. And this is the thing that I think is so exciting about psychological development, is simply understanding that actually who is driving the bus, as in, because we can wait so long for the outside world to clear up. The only time it ever clears up is when we take control and realize that we are in the driving seat, because it gives us choice. Now, another question for you, just in your own heads, is, and who do you think puts the most into your filter system on a daily basis? It's us. I can't make any of you in the room think in a particular way. It's your choice. You're in charge of your thoughts. You're all in charge of your thoughts. But how often can we repeat the negative beliefs that sit in our filter system that constantly get added into layer upon layer on layer on layer of a filter system? So it's driving the energy behind keeping that more negative filter flavor going. It's us. So if it's not the outside world that changes, it's us that change. And we all agree that actually we're in control of our thoughts That's a good thing, because if we're waiting for the outside world to change and somebody is in charge of your thoughts, then we've got trouble this afternoon. Okay, much more serious trouble if somebody's controlling our thoughts. It's much better if we're in the driving seat. So how do we actually change this up? Well, what I want to do is a really simple exercise with you all this afternoon to actually give you a deeper level of awareness of how your filter flavor plays positively and negatively, so you can have a different choice as you walk forward. Because the reality is, we've all just talked about a more negative filter flavor, but we all have positive ones too, such as I'm a great mum, I'm a great sister, I'm a great colleague. They're all great ones. I'm good at my job. I'm good at people management. Okay, they're brilliant ones. We want more of that stuff. But during a day, they'll move up and down. And when we end up in a more negative time, which can be days, then perhaps weeks and months, is we can end up in the more negative one, having more power over us, and actually then us losing that ability to actually control our response to the outside world and have choice. So I want everybody to grab a pen and give me a good old pen wave. Okay, so I know that you're ready. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Laura. I can see more people coming in. Do put your camera on so I know that you're doing this exercise, because it will help everybody lean in. Hello, Amanda. Hello, Claire. Got Lindsay coming too. Right, so you've all got a piece of paper and a pen. Okay. Well, firstly, if I can get my thing to go, what happens before we go into this exercise? Then as soon as we kind of go, okay, so you have control and you have choice, and things could change for you, because we've just illustrated the outside world doesn't change, you change. So change is possible for you. Now, that's where the magic happens. Very soon after discussing that, there's sometimes a little voice in our head that goes, oh, but it'd be really difficult. Oh, it's not that easy, Beck. I don't know if anybody else has thought that already. Is that, oh, thank you, Laura, for your honesty. There was a nod there. We all go, oh, it's so difficult, we can't do it. And what that is that's your negative, it's your unconscious mind who likes doing the same thing over and over again on autopilot, dragging you back to your comfort zone, going, here are all the excuses why it won't work. So just notice it's trying that. And just notice that actually in your comfort zone, nothing changes and you don't grow. Now, you're all about people, so you're all about growth. So just hold on to that. As we do this exercise, you will have more ability to move where the magic happens. So this comfortable unconscious narrative that pulls you back, I call slipper thinking. Okay, it's the kind of thinking that keeps you stuck and keeps you out of moving and growing and being all that you can be. So we're going to explore how this unconscious negative filter thinking is for you, so that you have choice. So on your piece of paper, now I'm not going to ask anybody to share this at all. This is between you and your piece of paper, in your kitchen, Laura, in your hill, Sarah, wherever you are behind your background, Amanda. This is just your stuff, right? You don't need to share. So be honest. I want you to write down 3 negative I ams about yourself. So if I was going to write that down when we're thinking about negative filter flavors, I could write, I am not good enough. I am rubbish. I am XXX. Okay. Honesty of piece of paper on your piece of paper. You will know what these statements are, because the chances are they're the ones that you default to when maybe you're having a good old go at yourself. So what are they? I am negative, whatever. I only want 3. So anybody who's sitting there thinking I'm going to create a list of 10, please stop. Okay, just 3. Okay, 3 negative I ams. And just when you've got them, let me know. Give me a good old pen wave so I know that we're complete. Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Maria, Tracy. Alan is waving and with a pen also. Brilliant. Okay, right. Now I want you to be honest. If you look at that list, okay, that list, if that is truly who you are, because you've just written it down, if that is truly who you are, as you anchor into that list, how does that make you feel? And just write down whatever comes to mind. How does that make you feel? If that is a true reflection of who you are, how does that make you feel? And just scribble away. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Whatever comes to mind. Don't censor yourself. Just scribble. It's between you and the piece of paper. You can rip it up afterwards if you want. But just truth of self. If that is who you are, how does that make you feel? And then let me know when you've got that. Okay, so what you have in front of you is your negative slipper thinking, I am that. And if that's the truth of who you are, you've captured how that makes you feel. Now, when you look at those feelings that you have in front of you, I want you to ask yourself honestly, and then what happens? What happens next? When you feel like that, what do you then do? What kind of behaviors do you then engage in? What do you do? How do you behave? And as you start to capture what you do and what happens next after you start to feel those things, what kind of behaviors you then start doing, my next question to you is, and what do you stop doing? So what are those feelings create in you that is activity, that is behavior? And also when you feel like that, what do you stop doing? And just let me know when you've got that by waving at me or thumbs up or whatever. Thank you. Okay, so I think just about everybody has got that in front of them. So what I want us to do now, okay, we're going to move. I want you to all stand up. Everybody stand up, okay? You can see me. And I want us to shake that off. So I just want you to shake that off. Literally, I want to see some movement, people. People managers, that's it, move. We've got some great moves there. And when we've moved enough, I want us to turn around and sit back down. Okay, right, gang. As you sit down this time, you are sitting in the truth of who you are this time. Okay, this is your new shoes thinking. This is kind of who you truly are. So I want honesty again with your piece of paper. I want you to capture now 3 positive I ams about the truth of who you are. Now, for those of you who might find this difficult, look back at your negative list and flip it. So if I've written on my negative slipper list, I am not good enough. On this side, I would write, I am enough. Okay, 3 positive statements about yourself. Okay, 3 positive statements about yourself. Okay, now my next question to you is this. As you look at those 3 statements and you truly anchor into the reality of that is you, that is the truth of who you are, how does that then make you feel? As you recognize that that is the truth of who you are, how does that make you feel? What feelings do you have? And just capture those feelings. How do you feel when you recognize and anchor into those 3 positive I ams? Now, as you recognize those feelings that come from those positive I am statements, my question to you then is if that is the truth of who you are and that is how you feel, when you feel those feelings, what are you then able to do? What are you then able to do? And as you recognize what you are now able to do when you feel those feelings, I also want you to capture the next bit is, and what do you stop doing? When you feel like that, what do you stop doing? Now, what you have in front of you is your slipper negative filter flavor played out in front of you. And then you have your more positive new shoes filter flavor. And hopefully you can see a big difference between the two. And so you have it in front of you. And in life, what we now have for you is you have choice. Which side, which shoes do you want to wear? Slippers or new shoes? And what happens to your life if you're in more time slippers than you are new shoes? Now, as we think of slipper negative thinking, which you can see in front of you, which sits in your filter system, it's based on negative beliefs. Now, the thing about beliefs, beliefs are constructs. We act upon beliefs as though they are truths, hard, like almost carved in stone, but they're not. They are just what you hold to believe is true. And at one time, they never existed. They build over time through repetition that we are responsible for ourselves. So as we look at this in front of us, I just want you to understand that if I was to come and join, let's say, Maria, in the belief level of your slippers that you've written down, I would have to go and do a PhD in them. I would have to put that much effort in to get to that level of ownership of what you've captured. And you know the reality of that? And I mean, I know PhDs take a long time and I don't have one. And I have no desire to do one. For anybody who thinks, please do want to get into the same mindset as me as to my negative thinking, is if I turned at Maria, you would tell me to sod off. Because deep down, you know that that's a construct and it's not a truth. But sometimes we live with it as a truth, and we find ourselves wearing slippers. So I'm just going to give you a tiny little bit more today, which can help you navigate your life forward so you are more new shoes than you are slippers. The first thing is you're human. You've captured both. You will oscillate in life dependent on what's going on between slippers and new shoes. The key point is you now have a choice to recognize you're wearing your slippers. You've got your thoughts that you'll be having, you've got your feelings, and you recognize your behaviors. At that point, you can look down in your experience of life and go, Alan, you're in your slippers. Okay, now this is unconscious negative stuff you've done for ages. So these slippers will smell, Alan, I'm sorry. They will be a bit threadbare and they will be a bit rubbish looking. And your colleagues may even notice them. But I would love you to notice first. Now, at that point, you can say, Beck is not going to do a PhD to join me in this belief, Alan. Not going to do that. So you choose to keep wearing them, you know what's going to happen, it's in front of you, or you choose to kick them off. So this is the how you kick them off. Firstly, you've got awareness, which is in front of you. Secondly, you choose to kick them off, whether you wear them and that's what happens. Choose today to commit to wearing your new shoes more often. I would love you all to find a picture of some new shoes that represent the truth of who you are, as I call it, wonderment. Go find them. You may have them in your cupboard. Buy them if you really want to, or find an image or a picture and put them on your fridge, because we all visit fridges far too much during a day. It's a great way to remind ourselves to wear our new shoes and to kick our slippers off. Put them on your screensaver, your mobile phone, put them by your bed. But more importantly, email me a picture of them, because that's your commitment to pay attention to wearing your new shoes more often and living on that side of your experience. Okay, I'll give you my email in a moment. But the other thing is, as well as once getting the image, is I just want to quickly talk about this. This is the emotional ladder. Okay, at the top of the emotional ladder is gratitude. At the bottom is depression. When we find ourselves in our slippers, which you will do, I can do that because I'm a psychotherapist. Yes, even psychotherapists can occasionally wear slippers, but I know about this stuff now and I can kick them off and spot them rather than wear them for weeks. The thing that will help you is the middle gateway state, which is called curiosity. Now, curiosity is a gateway state because it's openness, and it will move you upwards, and it will take you out of slippers into new shoes, and your thinking will become more resourceful. And all of a sudden you'll look down and you will have your new shoes on, Alan, whatever they are. Okay. Now, curiosity has a sound. Now, this is interesting because sound links thinking and feeling and our physiology, and therefore moves us really quickly up this elevation of this emotional ladder. And it sounds like this. Now, I know you can do this because you're in people stuff. So I want you to all unmute, and we're going to do it together to just make sure we can all do it. So all unmute now and make the sound of curiosity. 1, 2, 3, go. Some brilliant faces, and even some of this. You can all do this naturally. So this is harnessing your ability to use your emotions to kick off those slippers and move up the ladder. Now, the reason we want to be aware of using this, I mean, please don't do this necessarily in meetings where everybody will think, what the hell are you doing? But even silently, it will change, and you can do it in your head. Because if we don't use this to kick the slippers off, you will use this next emotion, which is judgment, and that will descend you down. And judgment also has a sound, and it sounds like this. So I'd like you to all unmute and do the sound of judgment, please. You know how to do this one really well. 1, 2, 3, go. You're brilliant at it. This is a way in which we have to can choose to navigate through our thoughts, our feelings, and behavior to clear those filters out to enable you to be more new shoes. Because when you look at that list on that side, that is where we all want to be. That is what we as humans want for ourselves and for those colleagues that we have got the job of caring for. This is why this exercise is so useful and so important, and most people don't understand it and just unconsciously walk in their slippers. What I would love you to do is to share your photos. Here's my email. Go and commit to being new shoes. Send me some wonderful pictures. It's probably the most dangerous thing I ever do, because then I want to buy them all, whether they're flip-flops, walking shoes, wellies, it doesn't matter. High, glittery trainers, it doesn't matter. Choose something that's meaningful for you and commit to starting to understand and change your filter system, because rather than inputting negative into it, you, by adopting this, will actually enable yourself to create real positive psychological change. Hopefully, this has helped you understand how psychological development resources, such as we've created on the app and taught through today, when embedded well within organisations, whether you're primary care or secondary care, can make real change to people in a speedy time. A resource that can work with people 24/7. So please, please reach out if you want to collaborate, co-create. You've got ideas about people-powered digital transformation. We absolutely would want to work with you or talk to you or just chat and have a coffee. But equally, if you want to get this resource out to your nurses, please use the code that's just gone in the chat box or scan this link or grab it and scan it and put it on lanyards and walk around with it and help people get it. You will have your own ideas, and we do have engagement resources if you want help too. So thank you, big thanks to Joe, Nikki, Tracy, everybody at HPMA, you giving up your time today to come and help yourself, to help others. Thank you so, so much. And it would be lovely to hook up with you in the future. Thank you.
Thanks ever so much, Beck.
Sorry, go on,
Gretch.
Tracy, you go first.
No, I was just gonna say thanks ever so much, Beck. Really, I mean, I'm sorry I was late to join, but what I have been able to participate in, as always, has been excellent and very uplifting. So thank you. Joe, go on, please.
No, I was just going to say thank you very much, Rebecca. That was an excellent session. It was fascinating, and I really hope that people see the value in this amazing resource that is available. Please feel free to reach out to Rebecca just to start the conversation. I really hope this gets expanded into all your trusts because it's truly great. So thank you very much. The session's been recorded and it will be added to the hub on the website. So we did have a problem as well with a number of people not being able to get in, Rebecca. So it's great that we've recorded this session because it means more people can benefit. So thank you and have a great day, everybody.
You too. Enjoy wearing your new shoes and please send me your photos.